Okay, looks like we're live. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to PTM Hangout. This beautiful Thursday, the 9th of June. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Maribel Chima. I am the convener of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and group on Facebook. Welcome if you're with us. If you have joined us for this session, please let's know that you have joined us and let's know where you're joining us from. I'm actually streaming from the capital city of Nigeria. I am streaming from Abuja. So let me know in the comments where you are streaming or where you are joining me from. Let me know in the comments where you're joining me from. Now, if you're here, please don't be in the background. Please say something in the comments so that we know we have you with us. We know we have company. And if you have a friend that needs to be here, right? Let's them know that we are live and they need to show up. They don't want to miss today's session. I promise you. So let your friends know that we are live and they need to be there, to be here. Bring them on, tag them in the comments. And then of course, let's allow this video reach as many people as possible by ensuring that we engage. Please click on the like button. All right, if you're watching us on YouTube, please by all means click one of those emojis. Let us know how you feel being here. If you're excited to be here, let us see you in the comments. Let us see how excited you are to be here. All right, let us know in the comments where you're watching us from. Let us know how excited you are to be here. Let us know what your expectations are, in this session. Let us even know what your challenges are even before we start. Just engage in the comments. And if you are watching us also from YouTube and you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, what's wrong with you? You need to subscribe there so that you can not only get notification, but miss nothing that is going on here, because we're going to be doing a lot on YouTube in the coming days. All right, so today we're looking at a very, very, very important part of parenting. Okay, how you can engage your child positively. All right, so it's an SOS. So that's why we said help. I'm saying help because I've had a lot of parents reach out to me asking this same question. I don't know what my child is restless, as parents like to use the word restless. My child is really restless. I mean, there is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do to get him to sit down in one place. How do I engage him? Because we're always saying, hey, engage the children. Let the children get engaged in meaningful things. Parents come to you and like, my children are heavy bingers. They binge on TV and on screen and all of that. And I'm always like, you need to look for other ways to engage them. And the parents go, but how do I engage them? So that's why it's an SOS, and that is why we're looking at this topic today. It's a very important one, a very crucial one in your parenting journey. How you can engage your children effectively, how you can engage your children productively, how you can engage your children positively, however you want to use that. Okay, so the key thing that you need, right, for your children to learn successfully, for your children to be focused, for your children to gain mastery, and for your children to be on that journey towards purpose, to be driven by purpose, is to find the best ways to engage your children positively. It is a very, very crucial part of your parenting, that you can engage your children positively. Okay, now I am not saying this because it is an easy feat. It is one of the most difficult things, really, to actually engage your children effectively. It's not easy at all. It's a huge venture. All right, so it requires time. Now, it's an irony, because a lot of times when you hear parents say, how can I engage my children? What these parents have at the back of their minds, or what we have as parents at the back of our minds, is, what can I do to get my children engaged such that they don't need me? Am I speaking your mind? All right, so parents are always looking for what they can do to engage their children, or what they can do to get their children engaged such that the children do not give them some space. I mean, I just want some time. I just want my children not to need me. How can I engage them, right? Now, I'm sorry, I'm here to bust your bubble that for you to engage your children positively, especially your young children, and also if your children do not already have this skill, okay, they don't have the skill where they can be independent, or where they can self-direct, or where they can be in their own space on their own, they still need you. So being able to engage your children positively requires time. It requires your presence. It requires time, okay, and it requires a lot of creativity. Don't worry, it's not like you're always going to have to be there. When I say time, okay, if you've been following me, if you know me, you know that when I say time, I do not necessarily, hello, I can see your name on StreamYard, but hello, Facebook user, thank you for joining us, both of you, thank you for joining us. All right, so yes, so basically, if you've been following me, you will know that when I say time, it does not necessarily have to be in the quantity of that time. It's in the quality of that time. So yes, to engage your children positively, to get your children engaged positively, time is required, and your presence is going to be required to an extent. Okay, your presence is going to be required to an extent. So you cannot start from day one and you want, that one, give me that thing that will just get them engaged and I can move on with my life. No, there has to be your presence in all of this. Okay, now there are two major ways, right? There are two major ways that our children get engaged, or there are two major things involved in getting children positively engaged. Okay, now one of these is that your child, I mean, that's you, two ways basically. And then in those two ways, one of it is you trying to engage your children in what you want them, right? In what you want to introduce. So you want to introduce skills to your children. You want to introduce habits to your children. You want to introduce things that your children do not necessarily, know about or have an interest in, but you know that they need some of these things. Okay, now you will have to do certain things for your child to actually be interested in that skill, in that thing, in that habit, or whatever it Okay, I don't know if you can see me. Um, can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay, if you can still see me and you can hear me, please let me know that you can see me and you can hear me. I'm sorry we had a major network glitch. Please let me know if you can see me. Oh, thank you very much. You can see me, you can hear me. All right, I'm so sorry about that. Please, if you're on yes, okay, so I think that's from YouTube. Beautiful. If you're on Facebook and you can see me and hear me, also let me know that you can see and hear me. All right. Facebook, can you see me? Can you hear me on Facebook? I'm very sorry about this. Third world, Africa, what can we do? Um, okay, so I will just continue. Oh, beautiful. You can hear me on Facebook. Thank you very much. And thank you for hanging in there. All right, so I was talking about, yes, I was talking about the fact that there are two ways that basically we can go about this engaging our children, or two ways you can look at it. Okay, so there is that thing that you probably want for your child, right? There's that thing you want for your child because you think this is very important and your child needs to learn that thing, that skill, okay, that habit and all of that, that business, whatever it is. And you want to present this to your child. Now, what is important is the how. How are you presenting this to your child? Right. In engaging your children, and this is one thing that teachers know, right? Teachers know that what you have to do is be creative and present whatever you're teaching your children in an interesting way. Now, it's not enough that you present it to the child in an interesting way. You have to present it in a way that you can sustain that interest. Okay, you can sustain the interest of your child. Effective teachers use this, and it is one skill that parents would need to learn. Okay, as parents, we would also need to learn this. You have to learn how to introduce the things that you want, when you engage your children. You have to learn to do it in a way that is interesting, that is fun, okay, to the child, and that you can sustain that interest. Okay, whether you like it or not, our children are constantly asking, okay, what is in it for me? Okay, they may not verbalize this, or they may not even be conscious about this, but a child is constantly asking, what is in it for me? And for a child, what is in it for me simply means, what is the fun thing in there for me? What is the play in there for me? Because the language of a child is play. So children just want to have fun. Children just want to play. So whatever it is that you are introducing to them, it may be as serious as landing in the moon. Is there a way you can present landing in the moon to a child in a fun, adventurous way? In that, if you're able to do that, your child will go all the way with you and land in the moon. Is this something as serious as finding a cure for an ailment? Just present it to a child in a way that is fun, in a way that the child can be interested and that interest can be sustained. If you're able to do sustained, if you're able to do that, then you have the child, because the language of a child is fun. If you're not bringing fun to the table, forget about, okay? If you're not bringing fun to the table, forget about. So when parents reach out to me and they say to me, "Oh, Coach Maribeth, my children don't like to read." You talk about your children being voracious readers. You talk about the need for children to read, how important it is for children to read. I have done everything. I have bought them books. They tear the books and all of that. The question I usually ask these parents is, what have you done to make your child interested in reading? If you've not done anything, okay, to make your child interested in reading, especially because reading is not a skill or is not an interest that came naturally to your child. You are trying to introduce this as a skill, or you're trying to introduce this as a way of engaging your child positively. Now you will have to look for creative, fun and enjoyable ways to do that. If you're able to do that, then you will have the interest of your child, you will have the attention of your child, and then you will have to sustain that interest, okay, in order for the child to stay there long enough for the child to develop a habit. In order for the child to stay there long enough for the child to internalize it. In order for the child to stay there long enough for the child to begin to love it. So there are certain things or activities that we introduce to our children that at the beginning our children may not be interested in. At the beginning, our children may say, I don't like it, I don't want it, okay, or they may not show an interest in. Your ability to create fun around that thing, your ability to make that thing interesting and to sustain that interest is what will keep your child doing it. And we know what happens with consistency. When we are consistent with a habit or we're consistent with a particular thing, what happens is the consistency creates mastery, okay, or the consistency begins to make that person see that thing, see the gains or the benefits in that thing, and that may be the reason why your child begins to love something that ordinarily they didn't love or ordinarily they wouldn't have loved. Okay, so if you're here, as I said before, don't just be here alone. Okay, invite a friend that needs to be here. Okay, invite a friend that needs to be here. Hey, Onya, I see you. You'll see oh, Vadina, it's good to have you here. Invite a friend that needs to be here, tag them, okay? And then let us see that you are following us by giving us a thumbs up, okay? Or sharing one of those emojis, okay? All right, so basically, this is it. So you can actually introduce something to your child and sustain it till your child begins to get an interest in that thing, okay? Now, we do this in the academy. There is a program that we have, Jackson Josephine. Okay, someone is tagging someone. All right, so there's a program we run in the academy. We run this program sometime around July, right? It's to help parents, right, that are complaining that their children cannot read, their children do not love books and all of that. So what we do is, it's a challenge actually, and that challenge is usually a 1 month program. Okay, so it's a 1 month program for 2 weeks. We will give you exciting activities, right? Enjoyable, exciting activities daily for 2 straight weeks that will keep your child, that will get your child interested, okay? That would present this reading, since reading is a challenge, all right? So it will present reading to your child, right, in a way that is fun and enjoyable. And then we will sustain that interest by ensuring that there is a new activity that is fun every day. So your child will be reading in a fun way. Your child will be reading with different activities. Okay, there are activities back in the reading, and before your child knows it, he's right there and he's done reading 1, 2 books, right? Just because of how we have presented it and how we have made the reading fun. So we do that for a whole 2 weeks. And then the rest of the 2 weeks is accountability. So we will stay with you for the rest of the 2 weeks and help you, support you till your child does this consistently. And funny enough, this program is such that you use only about 15 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes every day for these activities. And your child stays there consistently. You know the multiplier effect, the compound effect. Your child is doing this for 10 or for 15 minutes or 20 minutes every day for 1 month. What happens is you increase the chances of this activity taking place, okay? And then you make it enjoyable. Before you know it, we have testimonials of children who never liked to read. We have testimonials of children who would not read. But at the end of that program, the children actually started reading. Why am I going far? That is actually how my son started reading books, really, on his own. For a long time, I read books to him because he just wouldn't pick a fiction book and read on his own. He will read a non-fiction book. He will read books, encyclopedias and things like that. But he wouldn't just read a fiction book. So he will always hand it back to me and say, Mommy, could you read it to me? And then I will read the stories. He will enjoy the stories. So we will have book picnics, right? We will have book picnics. We will actually get into the car, go to a fast food joint, and then pick a snack, go all the way to the park, and just to read a book. So we had a lot of activities like that And then eventually I enrolled him into a 30 days challenge. So because I had done the background work, we had done all of these things, right? So we were able to like jump into the program. And because we already had done this over and over and over again, he was already picking some interest. And then he would listen to some of those stories. At the end, he'd be like, whoa, nice. And then he would tell me the big points for him, right? For him, his take home from the story, his take home from, and all of that. So with that, it was easy to get him to internalize and to master that habit. Today, I practically have to beg him to stop reading, right? So that challenge comes up sometime in July. I think it's the last week of June, right? It's the last week of June into July. So if you would like to, if you're struggling with your children reading and you be like to be a part of that challenge, just put it in the comments, right? Just put the book challenge in the comments, and we will just take notes and send you a prompt to remind you when we start the challenge. Okay, so it's very important that you present whatever you want to use to engage your children. You present it in an interesting way, a fun way, because as I said, children are constantly asking, what is in it for me? And for children, what is in it for them is, what's the fun in it for me? What's the enjoyable thing in it for me? Right? What's the play in it for me? Because the language of a child is play, especially for your young children. All right? So very, very important. Now, let me give you a few examples, right? A few examples of how I introduced some of these skills. I already talked to you about reading, right? I already talked to you about reading. Now, I read to my son all his life. Like, he doesn't know a single day growing up that a book was not read to him before he was 6 years old. We read bedtime stories every day. I read to him even before I gave birth to him. Now, that didn't mean that immediately he could read, he would pick books and read, or read all the storybooks on the shelf and all of that. No, it didn't happen automatically. But hey, that skill, the what do you call it? The seeds were already sown. Okay, so that's why I want to say to parents sometimes, relax, don't be too much in a hurry. The results may not, they may not, come into your face as fast as you want it. They may not show as fast as you want them to show. But what's important is sowing those seeds, and keep on sowing those seeds. Don't get tired. There is the multiplier effect. There is the consistency. There is the place of consistency in training every skill. And it is very effective even in parenting. Okay, so yes, he didn't do that, but I continued reading to him. So eventually we went through this program. We went through, this program. Most of what I give out or I put out there as programs or courses are actually things that I've tried and I have tested. Okay, I don't put anything out there that I've not tried and tested. So we went through this. He was already 7 at the time. He was already 6, going on 7 at the time, and all of that. And I was like, okay, he should pick other books apart from just reading about tigers and lions and reading about the solar system and reading about why ice. Apart from these things, Okay, I think I'm back now. All right. So, yes, why do you want to? We'll talk about this later. But hey, it is important that we engage our children, right? It's important that we engage our children. When you're engaging children, what are you doing? You are teaching your children to find satisfaction from inside. You're teaching your children to find to find contentment, right? You're teaching them to find contentment from inside. So when you teach them to look for ways that they can engage themselves without a third party being the one, right? Without a third party being the one entertaining them, yet they can be on their own by themselves, engaging in positive things, right? And still be content, right? So when you do that, you're helping your children not just for today, you're helping your children for a lifetime, right? I hope we're still on on YouTube. Please, if you're on YouTube and you can still see me, let me know. The network has been really troublesome today. All right. So basically, so these are some of the reasons why you need to engage your children and teach your children to self-engage. Okay, there is that place of self-engagement in their lives. All right. So yes, so while we were doing that, we did all of that, and then we did the everyday one interesting thing about reading. We read a book together. Okay, so that's another thing, shared reading. So we would read a book together, and for every day we had a different activity and all that. When we finished that period, I enrolled him for a 30 days book challenge, and he was ready for it. In fact, he was the one that said, I actually brought it to his notice. I'm like, okay, there is this challenge. Would you like to be a part of it? I always ask questions like that of my children. I don't impose things on them. And he actually said, yeah, he will give it a try. And he did, because, hey, he had practiced and it had become a part of him somehow to pick a book, lie down and read it. All right. There's another thing, handwriting for my daughter. So handwriting was a challenge for my daughter. Not just handwriting, my daughter didn't want to write. My kids don't enjoy writing. They don't love to write, right? So they would rather talk to you. They don't want to do any writing. All right. So now I needed her to, internalize that skill. I needed her to write, at least to a huge extent, because hey, this is where we are. You're going to write in school. You would have to write exams. You would have to do all of that, and there's so much you can do with writing, isn't it? Right. So that was a skill that I wanted her to gain, and I wanted her to, do it not from a pain place, not something that when she's doing, she's upset about. Because when children are that way, they don't enjoy doing it. It means that when you are not around or someone is not around to impose it on them, they will not do it, isn't it? So what did we do? We started writing. My daughter likes to talk. Right? So my daughter likes to talk a lot and all of that. So what I would do is, mommy, this story, do you know you can write it as a story? Do you know this thing you're telling me, you can write it as a story? So what did I do? I started having her write stories, right? She likes to draw, right? She likes to draw, whether the drawings are excellent or not. She likes to draw, basically. So what I did was I got her brother's old books. So I'm going to share some of that with you. So I got her brother's old books, bold books, big books, right? So I got the bold books, big books, so that she could, start writing on them. So I would say to her, all right, you're going to create a book, right? That story you're telling me, I want you to put it in the story. I want you to create a book with it and all of that. So what she would do is she would draw. So I'll tell her, draw your character. So she would draw the character, and then I would say, give your character's voice. So she would take probably one session work together. She would take that session to draw the character. Then I would say to her, give your character voice. So let me show you one of her stories. I don't know how clear this is. How these things are usually. Okay, that's it. So can you see that? So this is her. This is one of her stories, right? So she drew the character first, right? And then the next thing I would say to her is, give your character's voice. So if you look here, you will see a speech bubble somewhere here. I don't know how clear this is. So if you look, you will see a speech bubble here. Don't worry, I'm practical like that. I'm a very hands-on kind of person. So my parenting is very hands-on. So even when I teach, I try to make it as hands-on as possible. And you all know that I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, right? So we're hands-on like that. So yes, so I tell her to give it speech bubbles. So right here, she just does like a bubble and then puts the round thing, and then gives her character bubble speech. So I'll leave her that day. And then the next day, I'll say to her, wow, it's time for stories. And then that next day, it's time to write the story. So if you see under here, I'll draw the lines. So under here, she writes the story under. So she creates some sort of a story, and usually there's no pressure. It can be a 3 or 4 line story. So one day, let me read this one. There was a mermaid who was tricked and taken to a circus. And so basically she just writes, sometimes it could be from a story that she has read. When she finished reading the story, I'll tell her, you know something, do you know you can create your own story from that story, right? Because my daughter loves to tell stories. She likes to talk, isn't it? So I'll say to her, do you know? And hey, it's handwriting that is my goal. So I am using, we'll come back to that also. I'm using something that she likes to get a goal that I need to get out of the way. So after the speech bubble, the next day I'll tell her, now let's write the story. So I'll draw the lines and I'm like, let's write the story. So she begins to write her story. Don't worry about the spelling. Okay, I'm talking about all this we did when she was about 4 and there, but don't also worry about how accurate or how beautiful the handwriting is or the story is and all of that. But hey, she goes ahead and she writes. Now, this is another story. So can you see? That's another story. That's her character. She's drawn. If you look this way, you will see her speech bubbles, and then she has her story down here. She has her story down here. All right. So we would do this. See her? That's another story. You can see her character. So I don't know. This is not showing very well. So you see her character right there, and then she will write it. So gradually we will do that just because I was trying to get her to write. And that's how we started getting the skill in handwriting. Today, she doesn't have a problem with writing. We have gone so far that she's already creating her own books. So that's my daughter's book. She's written The Fourth Season. It's a series. So this is the second one. This is The Greedy Bear, right? So it's not colored, so you can see. So this is her story. So that's a story book she has written. So you can see, that's The Greedy Bear. And then this is another story she's written, Ella in the Magic Forest. So that's her book. So you can see that. So that's how, so you can see, you see all the write-up now. So that's my 6-year-old writing her book. And this is her chapter book. Basically, you can see that. So basically, right, just because we engaged in all of this, she's improving in something that ordinarily she would not do on her own. But I had to make it interesting. So some days it's so she's with me and I'm like, hey, let's write a story. Where do you like to write your story? What would you like to write from today? And we'll be like, in your room. So on my bed and we're writing. Other times we'll go for a nature walk. And when she's going for a nature walk, I tell her, take your book in case you get an inspiration. And then she's there, she'll be like, Mommy, I have an inspiration. I'm like, okay, great. So right. And then we sit down there on the curb, on the road, or we sit down, look for one nice place to sit down, and then she writes her inspiration. Sometimes we just go to the park. We go to the park and I'm like, go with your book. You can authors get inspired. They get inspirations and all of that, and all of that. Sometimes it's while we're driving. So basically what you want to do is you want to create interest around it. You want to make noise around it. So that's a way that you get your child interested in something that they wouldn't do ordinarily. Okay, let me give you a last one. So our son had challenges with public speaking when he was younger. Irony, right? So right now he's chief public speaker, isn't it? So, but there was a time he didn't want to be in front of anybody watching, any audience, camera, or anything like that. So what did we do? Right? What did we do? Because it was something that he was not interested in. So what did we do? We started making videos of him. So I would tell him after school, so what did you learn in school today? Oh, we learned this. Oh, just keep it. When we get home, we're going to make a video. Right? That time with BlackBerry phone. Right. So in the kitchen while we're cooking, I go to the kitchen with my children. As soon as they can stand and move, we go into the kitchen together. So those times I'll say to him, okay, wait. While we're cooking, you tell me. So while we're cooking, and then I'll tell him I'm ready for the video. So he would stand and I would take the camera and then he would teach me. While he's teaching me, I'm making a video of him teaching me and all of that. So the singular fact that we had to make videos of it, he has to teach, he watches the video, he sees himself after that was enough to get him engaged in that activity, right? And that's how we developed his public speaking skill. Okay, so these are things that I had to introduce to him or to introduce to them that they didn't like. So you can look for activities like this because the bottom line is you want to engage your children positively. Now, when you engage children positively, you help them or you save them. You spare them a lot of the distractions around us that children deal with today. I said that in a post that I wrote earlier on. All right. Some parents will come and say, my children, all they want to do is watch TV. They binge on TV. Why won't they binge on TV? Because if they are not watching TV, what are they doing? How do they get engaged? For some parents, the only way they engage their children, when they see their children watching television, you just go there. Oh, you know how to do this. Well, come go and read your book. So eventually, what you're doing is you are making studying seem like a chore. You're making it seem like a punishment that they get, right, for watching TV or for doing some of the things that you don't want them to do. So we don't have any other ways or any other things that we use to engage our children. We are constantly, we have trained them, first of all, to binge on TV and on other screens. It's either their phones, playing games on one tablet or the other, right? So it's so bad that when we even step out of our house, we're going out in the car, the children are with their tablets, right? In the car, the children are with their tablets. When you come home, you're visiting a family. You come home, all the children say to you is welcome, a good morning, and all of that. After that, they are on their tablets. They're on their tablets. You go to their room after they retire for the day. They are in their room on those tablets. So our children are what? They're obsessed, or our children are they're obsessed with these gadgets, these screens, and all of that. So outside screen time, outside TV, games on their phones or on their tablets, all of that. Outside that, these children cannot engage in other ways. It's so crazy that as they get older, they become preteens and teenagers that do not want to go out and play. I mean, you don't struggle with all of this when your children are toddlers. Your toddler wants to run out and play a lot on his own and all of that. But the moment they begin to grow from being toddlers to being preteens and then teenagers, they don't run off to play like that anymore. So they need other things to engage them. And at that point, the only way your children engage themselves is one screen or the other. When you do that to your children, this is the reason why we have a lot of adults who are not productive. This is the reason why we have people who are not ready to create. This is the reason we have people who cannot run businesses. This is the reason we have people who cannot survive in places or in establishments or workplaces where hard work is required. This is the reason you hear people who work tell you about their subordinates or young people who work with them not being able to focus, because every time they're either on their phones or they're either doing one thing or the other online that is not related to their jobs. So we're raising children who are not assertive. We're raising children who are not hard workers. We're raising children who are entitled. We're raising children who cannot create anything. We're raising children who would rather settle for the baby girl life, which on its own is not anything wrong if you can sustain your baby girl life. So a lot of time when our children cannot sustain their baby girl life or their cool guy life, we begin to see all kinds of things go wrong. It's either they are chasing clothes, it's either they are chasing one thing that is not right or the other, or they are looking for ways to get into politics where they can steal. I said that. Where they can steal and they can take what does not belong to them for free, simply because nobody wants to work, because, hey, they were not raised to be hard workers. They were raised to entertain themselves because they don't know how to engage themselves, to problem solve, to explore and all of that. All right. So it's very important that you teach and you help your children know how to engage themselves. Apart from that, when your children can self-engage, it allows you as a parent to, you're comfortable because you are sure, okay? You're comfortable because to a huge extent, you know that your children are productive. Apart from that, it's a generation where, really, for you to be relevant, for you to set yourself apart, you must be doing something that is remarkable. If children have not been taught to to troubleshoot. If they've not been taught to troubleshoot, they've not been taught to be comfortable in their own company, to introspect, right? To introspect and do all of that. Our children are constantly looking for what to entertain themselves with. That's why a lot of them A lot of them get into pornography, they get into pornography, they get into masturbation, they get into all of these horrible things. Why is this? Because they are constantly looking for external things that will entertain them, and this is because they cannot self-engage. This is because they cannot, and they've not been raised to be able to entertain themselves, engage themselves, with the things around them without having third party or, other things be where they get their satisfaction from, basically. All right. So I talked about the first one. That's you trying to. Now the second one is you taking advantage or leveraging on the things that your children are interested in. Okay, you leveraging on the things that your children are interested in. So now, if your parent who is present, your parent who is paying attention, you will see the things that your children are interested in. Now, when you see those things that your children are interested in, what do? You connect immediately and you begin to help engage them using the things that they are interested in. Okay, now how do you do this? One, you look for ways to apply their interest, for them to apply their interest into practical things. All right, you make sure that your children are actively engaged, not passively engaged. When your children are watching TV, when your children are entertaining themselves with games and all of that, it's passive engagement. It's not active. You must do things. You must look for things that your children can do hands-on, that your children can do practically. Okay, that is how you engage them. Things that will engage their brains, things that will engage their minds, things that will help them get fulfillment. When our children get internal fulfillment, right? So when your children do things, they create things, they engage in things that they can create on their own, they engage in things that they can solve on their own, there is a deep kind of satisfaction that comes from it. And this is what would boost your child's self-esteem. This is what will boost your child's confidence in themselves or in their own ability. So yes, you want to look for the things that your children are interested in, and then look for ways, okay, look for active ways to get your children to begin to, do things with those things that they are interested in. I will give you examples, don't worry. Okay, number two, show interest in what your children are doing. You need to show interest in the things that your children are interested in. Okay, show interest in it and look for time to participate in it with them. So you must be a willing participant at least once in a while. So go out there and play with your child. So your child is the one that loves football. I don't care Sorry, you can see me. Am I back? Okay, I think I'm back on. All right. So yes, I don't care if you're a woman. Go out there. There are times that I go out and I actually play football with my son and his friends. There are times they're having their water game. Yes, they're having their water game and they're shooting themselves with what I actually come in change into something that is conducive, and I go out and have water games with them. Right. So you want to show interest in things that your children are interested in. So when you create that active way that they can engage, that they can be engaged, right, then go out and be a part of it with them. It will help your children enjoy that thing more and stay interested in that thing just because you come out to be a part of it. All right. Number three is, okay, I said get involved and be creative, right? Get involved and be creative, right? Think with them. Always take them in your thoughts. Hey, can we do this differently? How about if we do this? How about if we do that? Okay, bring up those ideas and all of that. So there was a time I found out that my son was really very interested. My son was very interested in cars, putting things together and all of that. I've shared this story before. How I would go to Panteca, the place where they sell scraps. I will go to the place where they sell scraps and I will buy those scraps and bring them home. So sometimes you will see us trying to create a board. I mean, I remember one experiment we did. We had to create a shaky board because we had to shake, in the experiment, he had to shake, the table. And we didn't know how we were going to shake that table. So from his scrap, we were able to create a shaky table, basically. But I had to go to Panteka, to the scrap store, Arena, you know what Panteka is now. I had to go there to buy all of those things, for us to create that. Sometimes I will go and get styrofoam. So basically, you need to be creative about, the things that your children enjoy doing. They need to keep seeing you as mommy or daddy that's got endless ideas. Okay, sometimes you brainstorm together. So what do you think? How do you think we can do this? How do you think we can do that? Okay, you brainstorm together, and then eventually you come up with a solution, and then you do it together. When our son was actively, doing my son runs a YouTube channel. So there was a time he was active, we're very active, where we're actually putting out videos every week. He has slowed down on that for a bit. He will come back sometime later, but for now he slowed down on it. During those times, we will create the models, right? We'll create the models for his videos together. So it was a rich bonding time for us. The kids and we would actually create those models. So sometimes, if you check his page, Come See My Science, My World, check it up on Facebook. Come See My Science, My World. You will see sometimes we have to use hot fire. We will put a knife on the fire just so that we can cut through the styrofoam. I remember when the kids and I had to create the skeletal system, right? So we created the whole skeletal system. We actually built a whole skeletal system. If you check in his YouTube channel, I think you will see a video of the skeletal system. That model in that video, we created it together, right? You will see, if you check his video, you will see, if you check him on YouTube, Come See My Science, My World, or Come See Next World, you will see we created the land forms and water forms. We create all those things on our own. So these were like huge bonding time for us, as a family. We will sit down, we will take 2 hours sometimes, and we will create. Sometimes we'll create 30 minutes every day, and we take about a whole week to create the models before he would do the video. So basically, you have to be involved, you have to be interested, and you have to show your interest. It's raining cats and dogs here. I don't know if, I hope the noise is not too much so that I can shut the windows, but it's raining, heavily here. Right? So we would do all of that just so that we can get, so imagine the amount of TV time and screen time we avoided by doing all of these engaging activities. And these activities are we're not just doing anything to while away time. We are doing things that are productive, things that are adding value to their lives, things that are enhancing what they are learning in school. All of this. So just one activity and you are killing 3, 4, 5 birds with just one stone. All right. So that's it. Another thing is you do not hijack your child's interest. So you need to be careful that in doing all of this, you are not hijacking it. It is still your child's interest. It is still your child's thing. It is not yours. Okay, it's not yours. So let the children be at the forefront of it. Okay, allow your children to be creative. You are just the support system. So even when you have ideas, don't put your ideas or force your ideas down their throat. Even till this day, my son runs a leadership program, right? The Mastermind Circle. Even today, with the Mastermind Circle, I do not tell him what to do. He brings up his ideas. First of all, he goes and he puts together his idea and his strategy, and then he brings it. And what we usually say to him is defend what you have. So he will come and he will try to defend what he has, and then we will begin to give him ideas. Okay, what you have is huge, it's great, amazing, well done. Okay, look at it. How about if you do this? How about if you do that? How about if you add this? Do you think it will make? And he'll be like, oh, great idea, mom, thank you. So do not ever hijack your child, because that's what we do a lot as parents. We turn their lives into, we take over their lives and begin to live it. No, let your children be at the forefront of their interests, of their activities, especially if it's something that they are interested in. You will support them. It's a good thing to do. Okay, now the other one is, the last one is, guide them to identify problems and to solve problems with that thing that they have an interest in. So it is not enough that your child enjoys doing a particular thing. It is not enough that your child is interested in doing a particular thing. You need to bring it to the child's, sometimes children will not think of this. You need to make your child understand that there is a place of value. Okay, what you're doing is amazing. And if you do not know how to hail your children yet, if you do not know how to cheer your children on, if you are not your children's number one cheerleader, please come to me. Let me teach you how to cheer your children. Come to me. Let me teach you how to toot their horn. Okay, I'm not saying lie to your children, but when your children make efforts, you want to escalate the efforts that your children make, so that your children know that you recognize the fact that they are trying. Okay, now in that recognition, you need to make your children understand there is the place of giving back. There is a place of impacting other people with this thing that you are good at. Okay, and there is a place of, making other people enjoy from your knowledge and from your expertise. When you do this, your children will begin to see themselves as problem solvers. So if you tell them to look around them, what problem around them that this thing that they love to do, this skill that they have, can solve, and eventually they will find something. I promise you, when you look, you will always find. Even the scripture says that when you seek, you will find. If you're not seeking, the reason you're not finding anything that your children can do, the reason you're not finding any way your children can give value, even at the age of 6 and 7 and 10 and 12, you have a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old who is not giving value to anybody. No, it's wrong, parents. If you have a 12, a 13, you can't have a teenager that does not have a single thing that he or she is doing that is giving up value to other people. No, you are going to be one of the problems of this world, where people think that they can come into the world and take from everyone and everything and be entitled and not give back. So if at 10, 11, 12, 13, you have not taught your child, you're not teaching your child, and you are not making your children look for ways to give back, then you are going to be a part of the problem that we have in this part of the world or wherever you find yourself. So that's the last thing you do. I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, so my son runs the YouTube channel, isn't it? Now, he started running YouTube channel when he was 6, and when he was 7 going on 8. So actively, he started at 8. Now, how did that begin? Because we asked him the question, okay, what do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? Right? How can you use that to bless some other person? And so, the YouTube channel came to birth. Now, there was another thing that my son was interested in. I already talked about what was my own interest that I wanted to sell to him, right? Public speaking, being able to speak and all of that, because I realized that, it is a world where public speaking is a life skill. It is not something that you say, I don't like to talk in front of people. No, in this time that our children are in, they will have to speak to people. They will have to, even if you're a business person, you would have to bid for that job. You have to bid for that contract. Your company will have to do something. You will have to tell me why I need to buy your products. You would have to tell me why I need to collaborate with you, or why I need to invest in your business. So yes, public speaking is not just a skill, it's a life skill. So yes, I needed him to develop that skill. And you know how I presented him. I needed him to read. And so I presented it to him in a way that he got interested in. Now, entrepreneurship was not something that I presented to him. Entrepreneurship was something that he was interested in. And so what did I do? I went in right there and I connected. Okay, I also talked about my daughter. She loved to talk. Okay, and so I connected with that thing that she had, that interest that she has, that talent that she has. And then I used and harnessed you, right? harnessed what she had, or I leveraged on what she had to help her develop in other areas and engage in other things. Right. So same thing when our son came in and wanted to run the business, okay, and wanted to do a project to turn around, some money that was given to him in his club in school, right? So we brainstormed together and he decided he was going to sell juice, isn't it? So we started selling juice and all of that. Now, selling juice was okay. Yes, we go, we buy the product, we come in, we do production, right? And then he goes to church and goes to his football club and then goes to church, and then he sells these to people, right? Basically, he was solving a problem, isn't it, with this? Now, while he was at that, I said to myself, this is a great opportunity for this child to learn to be rejected and still hold his head while while people reject him. So I said to myself from day one, I'm not going to help him sell this product. So yes, I would help him with the production. I would help him with every other thing, but no one was going to help himself. So even when my niece was with us, and my niece will help him with production, she will help him with everything. But when they get to where they do the sales, I never berated her for not going or walking up to customers to asking them to come and buy. No, it was his responsibility. So I watched him grow from that 8-year-old that couldn't even make change for people, that couldn't even, calculate and give you the right change. I watched him grow from that person that couldn't, give you the right change to mastering that. I watched him follow up with his customers who had not paid him. I watched him grow that way in the last couple of years. He's grown from that child that was shy to the child who will walk up to you and say, would you like fresh juice? And then you say to him, oh, not today. And he can say to you, oh, thank you very much. And then move to the next group of people. So I watched him, have to deal with 4 or 5 customers at the same time and then be able to keep his records. And we didn't leave it at that. So we moved a notch. If you're doing business, you should be able, right? If you're doing business, you should be able to account for your business. So what happened? We decided, okay, you know something, you need to learn how to keep accounts. And to do that, you will have to learn Excel. You have to learn how to create your own spreadsheets, how to do the account balances and all of that. So I enrolled him for a training with someone where he learns Excel, PowerPoint, and all of that in depth. So right now, my son would do any Excel spreadsheet for you. He can practically handle my job for me. Okay, but it was as a result of an interest that he has. So he learns, right? All of this is engaging your children positively, parents. Don't miss what we're talking about here. We're talking about engaging your children positively. If you don't engage your children positively, they will engage themselves negatively. And before you know it, you'll be jumping around looking for psychologists, looking for coaches, looking for everybody that will come and help you repair. So learn to engage your children. When your children learn to engage in the right kind of things, they become blind to the 1001 distractions around them. Okay, focus creates blindness to distractions. Basically, the reason your children are sitting down there learning to sing every song that crosses their way as if they are Burna Boy. You are not Davido, you are not Burna Boy, you're not even a musician, but no, you want to cram all the songs of everybody so that you can feel work. You don't have work. It's because they don't have work. That's why they take their pen, they take the lyrics, they stay there for 2-3 days trying to get the lyrics. You don't get work. That's the truth about it. The reason your children are there taking 1001 pictures that are not right for the eyes and posting them all around and posting them to one person there, it's because the child is not engaged. The reason that your child is there, constantly looking for one video that makes her look cute and it's because they don't have any other way to engage themselves. So hey, let's stop berating the children and talking ill about the children, screaming and shouting on them when we are the ones that have not taught them how to engage themselves positively, because we have not raised them with positive engagement. Okay, we need to look inwards every time we criticize our children or every time we make statements like,
children of these days. Children of these days, what happened to children of these days? Were they not raised by parents of these days? Okay, so if you're parents of these days, you do not have any justification to berate a child of this day if you have not empowered the child of this day and you have not taught the child of this day how to engage in positive or productive engagements, basically. Okay, so we did that, and then he gained mastery, of that part, and then now he would do his accounts on his own and all of that. Now we didn't even, why he started that, we also understood that he needed financial education. He needed to be wise in his finances. That's another thing, and that is a skill that you cannot joke with. Are you a parent in the 21st century? You need to teach your children financial skills. Oh my God, how can your children not know what it means to interact with money? It is the reason that every time you have children money, or you give your children money, or someone gives them money, you say to them, go and put it in piggy bank. That's what some of us have a warped sense of what financial intelligence is. We have a warped sense of financial literacy for our children. We think the only thing that is there to teach our children is to teach them to go and put the money they have in the piggy bank. So you give them money to go and put in a hole, in a box. So you take your money, you will give them, you have dashed them money, they will go and put there. Uncle B will come, Uncle B will give them 10,000, go and put in your piggy bank. And see, this one will come. You will make the children will hang around so well and will not go out to play because they need to hang around so that Auntie B will give them. Because somewhere at the back of your mind or their mind, someone has made them feel that to have money is Uncle B sending you money. Auntie this is Uncle that one sending. Basically, this is the only way our children understand having money. You gave them, uncle gave them, this person gave them, and then you started putting the piggy bank down. And then at the end of the month or after a while, you break the piggy bank and you say he has money. No, there is no financial sense. There is no financial education that has happened when your children put their money in the bank or they put it in a piggy bank. No learning has happened. Your children need to learn to interact with money. You need to know how your children interact with money. How would you know your child that will take everything in his life and buy one item and be hungry if you don't allow these children interact with money? So you must raise children who can interact with money. So if you have children that are as old as 7 and you have not started teaching them financial sense, you are doing them wrong. You are doing them a big disservice. Okay, you're doing them a big disservice. Your children need to understand savings. They need to understand giving to charity. They need to understand spending. They need to understand spending. They need to understand gifting. In the real life, this is how we spend our money in real life. In real life, you don't have money and you go and chop all of it. You don't do that. You don't have money and you put all of it into an investment and you are hungry going about. In real life, it is about sectionizing your money into different places, isn't it? So you need to teach your children this skill from today so that your children do not feel guilty when they have savings and someone wants them to pack out their money and give them, and your child is like, hey, he doesn't have, that's why. Okay, so the other day my son was going for a friend's birthday. Right? He was going for a friend's birthday and he needed to buy her a gift. And I actually drove them. I drove them to a plaza, right? I drove them to what's it called? Sedi Plaza, right? And I told him, go ahead and buy what you want to buy, because he had his envelope, and in that envelope he had his money that was kept aside for gifting. He's gifting. So he has checked in the month, and this is the only person that I need to gift this month, right? So based on that, he had his money in his hand from his gifting piggy bank, right? So they went off, he and his sister went off, and they went to a rough and tumble shop, right? Basically to look for something for her, right? And then I parked the car. I decided, okay, let's go in and see what you're doing and all of that, not to go and make a decision for them. I go in there and guess what? My son was actually picking something that was worth 5,900 naira and all of that. I'm like, whoo. I was like, whoo, okay, and all that. But hey, he was picking something that was, he is 12. But he was willing to gift a friend that much. I know some of you are like, hey, not that money. Yes, yes, yes. It's that limiting beliefs. We have all of these limiting beliefs that we're selling to our children. So our children are already growing up with a poverty mentality. And to mind you, poverty mentality does not have anything to do with whether you are rich, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money. You can be the richest man and your children still have poverty mentality. Okay, you can be. But hey, what is important is he was gifting someone after he had saved, after he had kept money aside for charity, after he has kept money aside for his spending. Okay, now from his gifting piggy bank, he can decide to gift anything he wants. And he's generous enough to think that this person is worth that amount of gift. So do you know where I'm coming from? I'm coming from the fact that our children should learn that money is meant to be spent. They are not slaves to money. I am talking too much, okay? I am talking too much already around this subject. If you would want to have your children become financially literate, we have a course that was starting in the month of July. First week in July, we will roll. In that course, we have experts that are coming in. Experts that, I don't understand. Your child is 12. Your child doesn't know about investment at 12, 13. Your children are not already thinking about investments. I was talking with my coach yesterday, and she was talking, and we're talking, and we got to a point, men at 13, these children should be investing and they should be trading. They should be investing and they should be looking at, where do I want my money to go? Where do I want to? And that money doesn't have to be 1 million naira. It can be just 50,000 naira, and your children are already thinking of how they want to invest it and all of that. But hey, how can we raise children who will think this way if we've not taught them to be financially smart or to be financially wise? I say it and I say it again. If you are just teaching your children to pack their money and put in piggy bank, don't worry, you are just telling them to put the money to keep money anywhere, somewhere. You understand? That's no financial literacy or wiseness. There are principles. There are principles, and these principles is what we are going to be teaching you in this course. Because it's going to be out in the next couple of days, and you can begin to register for this course. I don't know what parents you are that has young children that will not register for this course. We don't want to raise children. Some of us are suffering. I am suffering today because of some of the financial knowledge and wisdom that nobody passed down to me. I am suffering and I'm dealing with a lot right now, and I do not want this. None of us should put our children through this if there is a way that we can teach them today. I was reading the Money Psychology the other day, and it was talking about Warren Buffett. How Warren Buffett is actually one of the greatest investors right now. Not necessarily because he's the best of them all. There are people who are great at investing. But hey, he is the most successful investor. And why is this? Warren Buffett started investing since he was 10 years old. Some of you will come here and tell me children are too young, they should be focusing on school. Some of these limiting beliefs, these blocks that we have created, we have blocked our heads, and now we have moved to our children. We're blocking our children's heads. Warren Buffett started investing since Warren Buffett was 10 years old. The parenting advantage. I was talking to my son about this. I was talking to my son about this and all of that. And we're talking about Warren Buffett. We read that chapter. And this is it. Because he's already getting financial knowledge and financial sense. Okay, we read Rich Dad Poor Dad together. My son and I read this book together, Rich Dad Poor Dad, because he's getting financial knowledge. Okay? Now, when I say we read a book, doesn't mean that we read cover to cover. We read that Poor Dad, funny enough, we read this cover to cover. But when I'm reading even my own financial book and I see something that is relevant to him, I will make him read that chapter with me. So we read chapter 3 of this, chapter 3 or 4 of this book together. We read chapter 3 or 4 of this book together, and that was where we was talking about Warren Buffett and the compound interest effect. Warren started investing right from when he was 10. So by the time Warren Buffett was over 50, he had accumulated so much money that made him one of the richest people in the world. Now, there are people who have turnovers that are, huge, better than what Warren Buffett has right now. But hey, because of the compound effect, they don't even come close to, how rich Warren Buffett is. there is the multiplier effect, there is the compound effect. So if you're not raising children who are financially wise today, they need to be financially wise for their purpose. Yes. Okay, so that some of you don't come at me and come and say money is not everything. No, money is a lot. Money is a lot. Don't get it twisted. These are some of the limiting beliefs that we want to help you squash in this course. It's a robust course. It's a robust course for you and for your child. Your children will be working with the worksheet. You'll be working with the worksheets, okay, and the worksheets and the workbooks with your children. But the course is to educate you so that you are able to liberate your children from an early age, so that your children will become financially wise. All right. So this is what it is. So these are some of the activities that you need to do. Now, I'm always here. If you want activities for your young children, for your toddlers, okay, there are activities. There are activities, but these activities have to be things that you can present in a nice way to your children, or things that your children are interested in and you can get creative around them. Okay, so one of these activities for young people is using loose parts. Okay, so loose parts, I've talked about loose parts a lot. Okay, so you have sticks, you have stones, you have things that are not things that can't injure your child. Basically, you have them and then you throw them around and allow your children get creative with them. Okay, as your children get creative with these things, you will find that your children are building, their children are building their sense of creativity, they're exploring. This is how explorers are created. This is how innovators become, people who can piece things together and then begin to look for problems that they can solve with things that they have the ability to do. Okay, I already talked about why your children need to be engaged. If you are going to save them from the many distractions all around, okay, you're going to save them from being at every party, you're going to save them from showing up at every gathering, then you must engage them so that they find things that they are so interested in that your children can say, oh, I would have loved to come, okay, but I would have to pass on this one because I have something I need to finish. I have a submission to make. I have an art I need to finish creating. I am recording. I am this. I am that. Your children are engaged. So they are not all over the place. They can say to someone, oh, I can't make it today, perhaps next tomorrow, so I can plan for it. The reason your children are everywhere, they are afraid of missing out, is because they have nothing to engage them. So someone gives them 2 minutes notice, they are there. 5-minute notice, they are there. It is this one that is happening on this page, they show up. This one is happening on that page, they show up. Everywhere, they are all over the place because they are not engaged in positive things. All right, I think we have overshot our time today and we need to stop at this juncture. All right, so if you would like to be a part of the reading program, it's not happening now. It's happening sometime, next month and all of that. But just let us know so that we'll keep you in mind and we would alert you when it's time. It's a very cheap. It's just a challenge. So it's one of those really cheap challenge that you just come and be a part of. Okay, if you would like your children, you should like your children to get financial wisdom, knowledge. Okay, we will have someone that will be teaching us about currencies and how our children can begin to leverage and understand the language, the financial language of the 21st century. Right? We have that. We have someone that will be teaching your children. What interest does your child have? Bring the child. And we have people that will be telling them what they can do to begin to dominate in these areas and begin to expand themselves. You all know that I'm about purpose and I'm about your children being supported to be everything they were created to be. So this is my forte and this course is close to my heart. Thank you very much, everyone who joined us. Thank you. I see you. Thank you, Chidima. Thank you for being here. Money answers a lot. Absolutely. All right. Thank you for being here. Sometimes I don't want to discourage his generosity, but I still explain to him how to go about it. Yes, no, it's not for him to pack everything he has. Just make sure that he knows how to apportion everything. Life is about apportioning. So if he's apportioned everything, right, and then he has enough for his gifting, and he wants to gift someone everything, why not? If he's a generous child, don't take that. Some of us have turned our children to a paradise because we're always behind them when they want to be generous. No way. Let the child be. Money is meant to be used. Don't teach your children to be stingy to themselves and to other people. Just make sure they are not taking everything that they have to do this, because they understand how money works. Okay? Robert Kiyosaki said, the problem is not having money. It's about understanding how money works. When you understand how money works, you will be wealthy. All right, you will. So we want to raise children who are wealthy because they understand how money works. All right, so I can't see any questions here. I can't see any questions. Okay, so if I look through and I see any questions, then I will answer to them. You can check in the group later. I'll check on YouTube later. Thank you very much for being here. We do not take it for granted that you allow us to be a part of your parenting journey. If you would like to be a part of the reading program, okay, the child reading challenge, okay, cultivating the habit of reading in your children, just put it there and we will take it and remember to prompt you, probably put you in a group where we'll talk to you, every now and then. And for the course, get ready. It's going to be, I'm excited about it. It's going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, people. Have a lovely, lovely day. I'm signing out. My name is Maribeth Chima. Super, super excited to be your co-pilot. Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye.